What's up, guys? Welcome back to Supreme Micah. So in this upload, what I want to talk about is vegan diet and also the contribution to muscle gain. So the question is, do you need meat in order to gain muscle mass? For muscle growth, you typically need protein and carbs. You also need a few other things, and we'll get into that in another part of this video. Traditionally, people will eat meat such as fish, chicken, and beef in order to obtain that specific protein. Now, what about those of us who consider themselves vegan? Now, traditionally, most people would say that vegans typically can gain muscle, but what about a bodybuilder? Can a bodybuilder typically gain muscle in regards to their fitness plan and how they're eating, their diet plan, and that being consistent around a typical vegan diet? I've spoken about protein consumption in some of my prior uploads, and I'll leave a link here for you to watch that. Now, in regards to how much protein that you need in order to gain muscle, statistically, you will need 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Protein is not the only thing that you need in order to gain muscle. You also need carbs, and within protein, the amino acids is something that benefits you overall for muscle growth. I spoke about this in prior uploads. Now, I'm personally not vegan, but from what I was able to gather, eating vegan, you should be able to consume the essential amount of carbs that you would need in order to gain muscle. If you're a vegan or not, then being able to consume 1 to 3 grams of carbs per pound of body weight is essential to your goal in building muscle mass. Now, I want to break down this a little bit further. So in regards to vegan diets, especially if you're a bodybuilder and overall that diet, then someone would always suggest usually, well, what about the proper amount of nutrients and protein? Okay, so this is something that I really wanted to talk about, and this is going to get pretty interesting. So let's talk about complete protein. Complete protein means that the product that you're consuming, if it's dairy or not, will contain the 9 essential amino acids. Examples of complete protein is that of eggs and fish. Do you need all 9 essential amino acids to be able to actually gain a muscle? Now, studies suggest that this topic is split. A lot of people have their own opinions, and studies have been changed. Studies have been conducted about this throughout a few years. Early on regarding this topic, traditionally, most of those studies suggest that you should consume meat in order to actually gain muscle mass effectively and also to obtain those essential amino acids. Now, other studies suggest that you don't necessarily need to consume all 9 essential amino acids. Now, your body apparently actually absorbs amino acids, and then that can actually be combined with reserved amino acids to create complete amino acids. Now, this implies that you should focus on the amount of calories that you're consuming and not necessarily the protein, which is very contradicting to bodybuilders. Bodybuilders, generally speaking, not only concentrate on calories, but they also concentrate on the amount of protein that they are eating. Bodybuilders overall, they will have meals that are high in calories and low in calories, and that will be different based off of whatever protein amount is in those meals. That protein can be high or it can be low, but bodybuilders usually will focus on that amount of protein. So it's not just simply focusing on the amount of calories, which is very important, but the protein within that meal is just as important. Simply counting calories may work for some, but it also incorporates for bodybuilders the amount of water consumption, carbs, fat, and obviously protein. Someone who's not a bodybuilder should be extremely cautious in regards to just starting a vegan diet. Vegan diets can be very healthy, but they can also be dangerous if you're not getting all the proper nutrients that you would need in order to actually survive as a human being. One thing that you definitely want to watch out for is muscle decrease, which can also lead to atrophy. Atrophy is usually the cause of when someone is not eating enough lean protein, and then that actually decreases your muscle mass. So this is why you should definitely eat the right amount of veggies, fruits, and also protein that also has the correct essential amino acids that you will need. Now I want to turn my attention back to amino acids and your overall diet. Research suggests that if you would like to consume complete amino acids, that one thing you being on a vegan diet would have to do is actually combine your foods, and that means combining rice with beans. And the reasoning why is because beans and rice both contain essential amino acids or amino acids overall, but they contain different types of amino acids that's important to your body and what it needs nutrient wise. So when you're vegan, those are things that you really want to consider. Now, comparing this to someone who does eat meat, then you will likely obtain all those amino acids, usually from eating meats like steak, chicken, and fish. Research also suggests that those of you who are vegan, that mixing your foods is entirely unnecessary, that someone actually will be able to gain those proper nutrients, specifically amino acids, throughout the day, and not necessarily attempting to mix foods or concentrating on the specific type of amino acids that they are consuming throughout the day. So this is the part that I really felt was very interesting when I was able to research about this. In regards to amino acids, this can most certainly be found in plant-based products. The key is that those nutrients are actually limited in those products. The quantity of the amino acids is limited compared to that of dairy or meat-based products. So those of you who are attempting to build muscle on a vegan diet, you actually have to be extremely important in regards to your portion sizes and the amount that you're eating. Building muscle requires the amount of calories that you're intaking to increase, the amount of carbs that you're eating to increase. The protein that you need is also very important. And in this case, what you likely will actually have to do is eat more of, let's say, veggies, okay, in order to be able to consume those proper nutrients. So someone who is, let's say, not a vegan, then when they're eating meats and when they're also eating other carbs along with their meals, they likely don't actually have to eat that high amount of veggies, because a lot of the carbs and a lot of the protein, those amino acids that they're getting from meats and other sources, someone who's vegan wouldn't necessarily eat, it's already there and they're getting it from that because it's high in that specific type of food, versus someone who's vegan and they're eating specific type of plant-based foods. A lot of those amino acids is actually very limited, so the consumption of that actually has to be increased. Someone who's not bodybuilding, this likely isn't an actual problem because they don't care, because they're not trying to build muscle. Another factor too is that depending on whatever their goal is, let's say if you're attempting to gain 15 pounds of muscle mass, which also probably will include fat too, that's extremely difficult, I would say, and not difficult because it's bad, but just difficult because a lot of the foods that you're going to be consuming around you that are plant-based, it likely may not have all of the nutrients that you need all in that one serving. And it just depends on what you're eating. Not everyone is going to be eating an Impossible Burger. Not everyone is going to be eating the same. So depending on however vegan diet that person is on, whatever they're consuming, that's actually going to have to be based on what they're eating. They have to think about that, and that's extremely difficult. I must give it to someone who's out there bodybuilding on a vegan diet, because reading up on a lot of this, it seems like it can be easy, and that is the impression, but I feel like you have to be extremely knowledgeable about what is in these plant-based products, because consuming a lot of the products that are out there, it may not be what you need overall. So to conclude, can you build muscle on a vegan diet? You most certainly can, yes. But from research, you should really keep track of your diet just like any other bodybuilder. But in your case, it might be just slightly harder. And the only reasoning behind that is because you really want to make sure that you're consuming enough to be able to actually build that muscle. So just to go over a few key things that we spoke about. 1, calories. Make sure that you're consuming enough calories if you're on a vegan diet, and that just goes as the same for anyone who's bodybuilding. But you also want to make sure that you're also consuming the necessary amino acids so that you can achieve that muscle mass. Make sure that you're getting the applicable amount of fat, carbs, and water consumption. Make sure that your diet is consistent on eating veggies, fruits, and nuts. Since you are a vegan, then you really want to make sure that you're eating those types of foods. That's really important. You need to consume the proper amount of those foods to be able to gain proper muscle mass, depending on whatever your goals are. Guys, as always, I really do appreciate you for tuning into this channel. Make sure that you subscribe, leave a comment, and hit the thumbs up button. I really do appreciate it, and I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks.